Hi, I'm Elena and welcome back to Elena's Hidden Crime Files. I'm thrilled to launch our very first episode with a story that's deeply personal to me. Today's episode is especially meaningful because it dives into a dark story of the town where I was born. As a child, I'd hear chilling tales from older friends about a man who had skinned his mother and wore her skin as a costume. These stories seemed too horrific to be real, but I was shocked to discover later on that they were not just myths or legends, they actually happened. Join me as we uncover the disturbing truth behind this unsettling story from my hometown. Today we're delving into a story so horrifying it seems more like a scene from a dark thriller than real life. Get ready to explore the shocking and grotesque case of Roland Z from Vlaardingen, Netherlands. This case is a harrowing example of how severe mental illness can lead to unimaginable violence. Vlaardingen, a charming city in the Netherlands, is known for its picturesque canals and historic buildings. It's a place where residents enjoy a peaceful, community-oriented life. However, on the night of February 4th, 2005, this tranquility was brutally shattered by an event that would leave the community in disbelief. Roland Z, a 42-year-old computer expert, was a respected member of his community. Described as intelligent and friendly, Z seemed to lead a normal life. But on this fateful night, he committed an act of horror that defied all reason and understanding. The evening began with Z acting in a highly disturbing manner. Around midnight, he was seen wandering the streets of Vlaardingen, directing traffic at a major intersection while muttering Bible verses. His behavior was erratic and unsettling, but it was his unusual attire that truly baffled onlookers. Z wore what appeared to be a coat made from human skin. It wasn't until over an hour later that someone finally alerted the police, not because of the grotesque coat, but because his behavior was causing traffic chaos. When the authorities arrived at the scene, they were met with a nightmarish sight. Zed's coat was not a costume or a prank, but a horrifying garment made from the skin of his own mother, Mientje Zed, a 76-year-old woman known for her kindness and warmth. Roland Z had brutally murdered his mother earlier that night at her home on Vassenstraat. The details of the murder are both shocking and deeply disturbing. Z used a wrench to strike his mother on the head, causing fatal injuries. He then slit her throat and proceeded to skin her with a chef's knife. The grotesque coat he wore was made from her flesh, and he had fashioned it with macabre precision. This act of violence was driven by severe religious delusions. These delusions were not a sudden occurrence, but rather the culmination of a complex interplay of mental illness and religious fanaticism. In the days leading up to the murder, Z had experienced troubling hallucinations and delusions. He had been involved in a religious cult and had been using drugs, which likely exacerbated his mental state. On the night of the crime, Z had an encounter with a friend whom he believed to be Jesus. This encounter, combined with his interpretation of a Christian TV broadcast, convinced him that he needed to make a sacrifice to God. The TV broadcast Z watched featured the message, "Who goes to the king will bring him the best he possesses." Z interpreted this as a divine command to offer his most cherished possession, his mother, as a sacrifice. He believed that God had instructed him to use his mother's skin to make a coat, viewing this act as an expression of devotion and submission. These psychotic delusions were deeply rooted in his interpretation of the Book of Revelation. He saw the murder as a necessary act to fulfill a divine mission. His belief was so intense that he meticulously skinned his mother and wore her skin as a coat, seeing it as a form of religious submission. The case of Roland Z is often compared to other infamous criminals who committed grotesque acts driven by similar delusions. Jack the Ripper, for instance, was notorious for his brutal murders in Victorian London, which remain shrouded in mystery and horror. Ed Gein, an American murderer and body snatcher, was the inspiration for several horror films, including Silence of the Lambs and Psycho. Gein's crimes involved the mutilation and preservation of human remains, creating a chilling parallel to Z's actions. Similarly, Peter Kürten, known as the Vampire of Dusseldorf, committed a series of gruesome murders driven by psychotic impulses. These comparisons underscore the extreme nature of Z's delusions and the terrifying consequences of untreated mental illness. The impact of Z's crime extended beyond the immediate horror of the murder. His mother's death was a devastating blow to her family and a source of immense grief for the Vlaardingen community. The crime shocked the nation and highlighted the urgent need for effective mental health care and intervention. Z's case revealed the profound effects of untreated psychosis on both individuals and their loved ones. In court, the focus was on Z's mental health. Experts diagnosed him with schizoaffective disorder, a severe mental illness characterized by both mood and psychotic symptoms. The court determined that Z was criminally insane at the time of the murder. This diagnosis meant that Z's actions were not solely a result of his free will, but were driven by severe and untreated mental illness. He was sentenced to involuntary commitment and psychiatric treatment, reflecting the court's recognition of his mental state. Z's case raises important legal and ethical questions about mental illness and criminal responsibility. It highlights the challenges of balancing justice with compassion for individuals suffering from severe mental disorders. The court's decision to commit Z for psychiatric treatment rather than impose a prison sentence reflects the complexities of dealing with criminal behavior rooted in psychosis. The Roland Z case is a grim reminder of the potential for mental illness to lead to extreme and violent behavior if left untreated. It emphasizes the importance of early intervention and effective mental health care to prevent such tragic outcomes. Z's actions serve as a stark warning of how severe delusions and untreated psychosis can manifest in horrifying ways. Thank you for joining me as we explored this chilling and tragic story. If you found this video compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden crime tales from around the world. Share your thoughts and comments below. I'd love to hear your perspectives. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and always be aware of the darker side of human nature.